Welcome back to the new video. Today, we bring you another awesome story here at Worth Knowing. Watch the video till the end to know more and subscribe to the channel so that we keep bringing you such videos. Yes, okay, this video is probably fake. But the jumps that we show you today are at least as spectacular as the position in this video. We show you the most violent jumps into the water of all times. There are breathtaking jumps in front of a spectacular backdrop, but also jumps where the athletes have put their lives in absolute danger. By the way, under the jumps, there is also a stand that actually turned out to be a fake. So after the video, feel free to write to us in the comments what you think the jump was, and of course, stay tuned. Here at Worth Knowing, it starts with a crazy parkour jump by Briton Toby Cedar. Toby is part of the parkour and freerunning group Storo, which always causes a stir with their wobbling actions. In 2019, the group traveled through Switzerland and made a stop in Basel. On the Rhine promenade, they had the spontaneous idea of doing a couple of spectacular jumps directly into the river. Every single stand was an absolute highlight. But after everyone else on the team had already jumped into the water, it was Toby Cedar's turn. He took a running start and, in perfect Superman fashion, jumped right across the boardwalk and landed in the river. The video of his jump went viral and was even shared by the city of Basel itself. Let us now turn to Raphael Dumont. The then 31-year-old Frenchman went to Lake Garda in Italy in 2013. He wanted to jump off a mountain on the edge of the lake in a wingsuit and then make a water landing in the middle of Lake Garda. And that without opening his parachute. Nobody had ever managed to do something like this before, which is why extreme caution was required. Dumont had a team of experts with him who calculated exactly at which angle he had to land on the water in order not to injure himself. Although his plan was life-threatening, Dumont dared to make the spectacular jump and manage the unbelievable. He landed safely and unharmed in the water. The Brazilian-Swiss extreme athlete Lasso Schaller is always looking for new challenges. His para-discipline is cliff jumping. That's why he traveled to the Tessina Magic Valley in 2015 to jump from a 58.8-meter high cliff and break the world record. A platform should prevent him from getting too close to the rocks, and the water of the lake has been specially aerated to make diving a bit softer for Schaller. Still, the jump was an extreme risk as there was little space between the two rocks left and right, and Schaller couldn't perform a somersault that would have given more control in the air. That's why the then 26-year-old had to jump straight into the water and dive into the water at over 120 kilometers per hour. He was in free fall for 3.58 seconds, but the jump was not optimal. Schaller had nearly strained her hip joint. He also tore the inner ligament on his knee. Despite this, he escaped without long-term injuries. Now let's move on to a jump showing a ski jumper in freestyle skiing. The jumper performs a spectacular quadruple backflip, but comes down extremely hard on his back. Luckily, he ended up in a pool and not on the hard ski slope. But if you're now wondering what the athlete is doing in the pool, it's very simple. The video was made during a training session, as professional freestyle ski jumpers usually practice their jumps on so-called water ramps before completing them on compacted snow. Let's continue with the German YouTuber Reed94, or Reinhard Reed, as his real name is. Reed is not only a multiple splash diving world champion, but also a gifted cliff jumper and regularly inspires his nearly 300,000 subscribers with spectacular jumps. In 2018, however, he made his most daring jump to date. For this, he drove with his team to Lake Garda to jump from a 39-meter high cliff. His highest jump so far. But just getting to the jump point was anything but easy. Because Reed and his friends first had to trample to the right place with a paddle boat and then climb from the water onto the cliff. The effort paid off, however, as Reed performed a perfect triple forward somersault with a half twist on the second somersault. Due to the perfect execution, he manages to survive the jump unscathed. Pain lasts a minute, glory lasts a lifetime. With these words, Darren Taylor from the USA commented on his greatest successes. Professor Splash, as he likes to call himself, is the undisputed record holder in the discipline, deepest shallow water jump, and holds no fewer than 15 world records. In February 2011, he also wanted to break his previous record and climbed onto an 11-meter high podium in Trondheim, Norway. Under Geol Taylor took off his jacket and pants to reveal a black and white swimsuit. With perfect posture, arms outstretched and legs pressed together, Taylor plummeted and landed in a small children's paddling pool. The water level was just 30 centimeters, but Taylor survived the whole thing completely unharmed. In 2003, the ABC station hosted a diving competition, but it was no ordinary high diving. The competition was mainly about the height from which the athletes should jump into a pool. Back then, 5 volunteers dared to make the incredible jump from a height of 52 meters. Rick Winters was the first to dare to climb the tall tower. And not to hurt himself when diving in, he wore 2 swim trunks on top of each other. There was also a microphone above the platform that the presenters could use to reconnect with Winters just before the jump. Winters had no doubts about his jump and then fell in front of his wife and 2 children. He was the first person to jump into a pool from such a height. The YouTuber and extreme athlete Jace Rainford is always looking for the ultimate deep kick and travels half the world with a converted school bus. Holds multiple world records for cliff jumping, base jumping and free climbing. The 25-year-old American, who calls his YouTube channel Adrenaline Edition, dared one of his most dangerous stunts in 2017. At that time, he wanted to jump into the almost 37-meter-high Sarali Fund, which lies in the middle of the American forests. No one had attempted or survived such a jump before. And Rainford didn't want to leave anything to chance either. First, he jumped into the water with a rope so that he could be pulled out of the whirlpool in an emergency. He had a queasy feeling because the suction was extremely strong and the current surges pushed him underwater again and again. Nevertheless, he dared the jump without a rope and Rainford jumped unsecured into the raging waters. Fortunately, he actually survived the jump unharmed. Oh my Godfather! And then jumped 4 more times into the middle of the waterfall. On the final jump, the current humps caught him, and he stayed underwater for several seconds. Nevertheless, he survived this stand unharmed. We also don't want to deprive you of another jump by YouTuber Chase Rainford. Because in 2019, he was traveling in Costa Rica, among other places, and discovered an abandoned tower in the middle of a lake on his journey. He did some research and found out that nobody had allegedly jumped from the top of the tower before. He finally climbed a rusty staircase to the top of the tower and dared to jump down. To this day, he does not know how high the tower actually was, but the images from his camera are spectacular. The participants in the dev diving competition DOTES in Norway also want to present particularly spectacular jumps into the water every year and are still evaluated for this. However, the aim of this not-so-serious competition is not to perform acrobatic jumps. On the contrary, the participants perform the most creative jumps and usually end up in a so-called cat, curled up on the water surface. In the meantime, the curious event is also internationally known and is sponsored by large companies. A tidal pool set atop a lava shelf, Hawaii's Queen's Bath, is one of the island of Hawaii's most enticing attractions and one of its most dangerous. Especially in winter, the pool is exposed to strong surf and waves, several meters high break on the rock formation. In the last 10 years alone, 5 fatal accidents are said to have happened here, and a warning sign in the parking lot even reports more than 25 victims. Nevertheless, tourists keep daring to jump into the raging surf, just like the jumpers in our clip on number 1. Incidentally, not only the surf and the strong suction are dangerous, some of the clips are also razor sharp, and there are always serious injuries and hair-raising rescue operations.